The following is a PodBeard production.
Sharing the stories of the tortured and the haunted. You are listening to Creep or Sleep.
Hello there, you ghoulish fiends. Welcome to your weekly injection of dread and paranoia. Creep or Sleep. I am your host and reason for listening, the Goon. This week, Matt will be reading My Sister Anna by Reddit user IcarusWrites. That is, of course, unless he opened the package I sent him. My sister died when I was 2 years old. We had been twins, born to parents with 6 sons, straddling the border of poverty and being poor. We always had enough to eat, but our clothes and shoes were worn out, hand-me-downs from siblings and cousins and thrift shops. But we were happy. I don't remember much about her, just flashes of memory of not being alone, sharing toys and baths, and our mother reading to us as chaos reigned around. Our father was not a loving man. He was abusive and angry. He was distant, even from us, even back then, resenting the children that had kept him from his dreams. My brothers tell me he was different with her. She had been born and he had become something more. He had begun to interact, sitting with the family at dinner, playing catch with the boys that were old enough to. But he always had a soft spot for her. Our brothers remember her being smaller than me, always more delicate, always the apple of our father's eye. He was never the same after she died. Her name was Anna. We were never told how she died, just that there had been an accident. Even my eldest brother, who had been 15 at the time, was kept in the dark. One day she had been there, and the next she was gone. Our father left with her. Physically, he was there still, of course. He still went to work and provided for us. Still put food on the table and clothes on our backs and toys in our hands. But he was always somewhere else. Sometimes he would disappear for days at a time, drinking what little money we did have, and leaving my mother to struggle to feed 7 growing sons. When I was 7, he killed himself. Our mother did everything she could for us. She worked night shifts at a diner downtown, bringing home crumpled dollar bills and tips from the dirty old men who would grab her ass as she served them their 6th coffee of the night. She sat with us at the tiny kitchen table, balancing plates and pans as she helped with homework or talked about friends or just watched us create chaos in her life. I was 8 when Anna came back. It started with just a feeling of being watched, like one of my brothers was hiding around a corner as I sat in my room or walked to school or showered. Then I started seeing her, just flashes of long blonde hair, a peek of a blue eye in the bathroom mirror. It took 6 months for her to speak to me. I woke up one night to the sounds of my brother snoring, and a girl sat on the end of my bed. She was beautiful in a completely other way. Her hair long and blonde and matted with blood. Her eyes the same brilliant blue as mine and our father's, but fixed and glassy as if she was blind. Her skin was smooth and pale, with deep ugly bruises covering her arms and neck. She smiled at me as I sat up in bed, putting her finger to her lips and gesturing to one of our brothers who was asleep on the floor beside us when I went to speak. Then she spoke to me, sort of. Her voice floated through my head, nothing more than a stage whisper in a play. The way she spoke was poetic, almost musical. Her voice was the most beautiful thing about her. I can't remember exactly what she said to me that first night, or any of the nights after, until I was 13. She came to me almost every night. When I was given my first phone at 12 years old, I realized it was always at the same time. Always 2:42 in the morning. She never stayed for more than 10 minutes. Her visits always seemed like a dream, one of those dreams that you remember but only parts of. I always woke up knowing she had visited, but could never be sure what she had said or done, or even what she had looked like. My actual dreams blurred her to the point that she appeared only as a flash of blue and a strip of pale, bruised neck when morning came. I tried to tell my mother about her once when I was 13. Anna had come to me the night before and whispered to me that she was sorry, had told me that it had been an accident, that it was never meant to happen. My mother had cried and yelled, sent me to my room without dinner, told me that it was a cruel joke for me to even bring it up. My brothers agreed with her, beating me to the point of bruising that could barely be covered by my favorite t-shirt at school the next morning. I never mentioned her again. I'm 15 now, and she'd started to scare me. Enough of our brothers had moved out now, and I had my own room. All of us left at home, had our own beds. No one sleeps on the floor, to top to tail in a single bed in the tiny bedroom behind the stairs. Every night at the same time she appeared, but it felt different now. She's aged as I have, growing taller and more beautiful in one sense, but she seemed smaller still, as if something was holding her back from this world. I think she was running out of time. Our conversations had become more urgent. She tells me that she's sorry, that it shouldn't have happened, but that she needs me now. She never tells me what she needs me for, but every time she says it, she strokes my hair, brushing it gently from my eyes as she sings to me a nursery rhyme that I don't remember our father singing to us as we were babies. Her hands are beginning to feel warm. Last night, something new happened. Anna came to me as usual, standing by my bed with the same gentle smile on her face as I sat up to greet her. For the first time in my life, I actually heard her speak. Actually speak. Just 3 words in a voice so hoarse and broken I had to strain to hear her. Just 3 words. Come with me. I should never have listened. I got out of bed, dressing quickly in the warmest clothes I could find. I barely had shoes on my feet when she grabbed my hand, pulling me out of the closet bedroom and out into the corridor of our home. We snuck past my brother's rooms, past the kitchen and lounge, out through our front door and into the cold winter night. I shivered against the sudden breeze, and she put her arm around me. She felt warm. She felt alive. Despite the cold and her lack of shoes, Anna led me confidently through our neighborhood. A few people were outside, walking home from the bars and parties, buying drugs in barely lit alleyways, staggering past dingy shops and run-down houses. We walked for miles, her arm around me, the only thing keeping me warm. Her presence beside me, the only thing keeping me sane. I felt safe with her. We walked to the outskirts of our town and stopped. The old orphanage stood at the end of a winding driveway, all broken windows and crumbling brick. She removed her arm from my shoulder and motioned for me to follow her. She led me to the door of the orphanage, which swung silently open on hinges older than our parents as she padded inside. I followed her into the darkness and suddenly felt myself drop. I landed in a heap at the bottom of what I can only describe as a grave. A giggle above me drew my eyes upwards, and there was Anna smiling. She looked healthier than I'd ever seen her, the bruises gone from her pale skin. As I watched her, desperately hoping for an explanation, the color returned to her skin. I looked down in shock, and suddenly I felt cold. Watching in horror as my skin turned pale and bruises began to form up and down my arms. She doesn't look smaller than me anymore. "Welcome home, Jacob," she whispered. "What are you doing?" I tried to ask her, barely managing a hoarse whisper. It was always meant to be you, Jacob. He always wanted a daughter, she smiled, glancing over her shoulder as a man stepped out of the shadows. It was my dad, alive and smiling at her like she was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. Too many kids, not enough money. If only your damn mother didn't dress you the same. He shrugged at me. No hard feelings, kid. There's only ever meant to be 7 of you, and I had to wait till Anna was strong enough to bring her back. See, I had to make sure that you were old enough to sustain her. As long as you're alive, so is she. And when you die, well, a pretty girl like Anna ain't gonna have any trouble finding a nice boy. And another. And another. I'm gonna make sure my girl lives forever. It's only fair, considering I killed her. He chuckled and threw my brother's old phone down into the pit. I caught it clumsily against my chest. Leave a note, he smirked before putting an arm around Anna's shoulder and walking away. I heard the door slam in the distance. I don't know how long they expect me to survive down here. I don't know how long I even want to. So I'm doing as I'm told. I'm leaving a note. I don't even know if this will make it out. The signal isn't exactly ideal down here, but I'm begging you. If you read this, don't try and find me. I don't think I'm even in your world anymore. I've started hearing things in the dark. And a warning, if you see my sister, if you see Anna, run. Run for your fucking life.
That was My Sister Anna by Reddit user IcarusWrites. It looks like Daddy finally got his little girl, and baby brother got the shaft. Be sure that you follow us on Twitter at @CreepOrSleep. And also, be sure to check out all of our other PodBeard Network podcasts. Not all of them are as entertaining as myself, but they're still worth a listen. And until next week, will you creep or will you sleep?